All right, I'm going to teach you today about tips. Now, if you've ever been to a restaurant where you sit down and then the waiter or waitress comes over, it takes your order, they bring you out, your drinks, they bring you out your food, they refill, they refill your drink, like, oh, you need more soda. Okay, here's some more soda. Um, and then when you're done, you just leave. You leave like all your plates there, and you go home. And then they come and they pick up all your dishes and whatnot. So when you go to a restaurant like that, you typically leave a tip, okay, as like thank you for your service. Here's some money for you. If we go to like a fast food where you have to go order at the counter, they call your number, you go pick up your food, things like that. That's when you don't leave a tip. So like McDonald's, Subway, Taco Bell, an In-N-Out, we don't leave tips there. But if we go to like Denny's or IHOP or the Bear Cafe, I don't know what it's called, Hungry Bear, I think it's called. Olive Garden, Red Robin, places like that, you will leave a tip. You'll leave a tip. Does anybody know other places where you would leave a tip other than a restaurant? There's a couple other places it's customary to leave a tip. Does anybody know those places?
Bubblegum ship.
Oh, other than restaurants. Where would you leave a tip other than a restaurant? Lemonade stand. That's very generous of you. Yes, I guess you can. Think of, I don't know. I mean, maybe you've never given a tip, but your parents are the ones giving the tip. Well, obviously it's your parents giving the tip. Not the grocery store, no. Have you ever gotten your hair cut at a location? Usually the person that cuts your hair, you leave a tip. If you've ever gotten your nails done, you usually leave a tip. If you've ever gone, this is so maybe pre-pandemic, if you have ever car wash, have you ever been to the car wash with your parents? You usually leave a tip for the car wash people. So those who like dry and clean the interior of your car, you leave a tip. So those are places we leave tips to. I mean, nowadays you can give the Uber driver a tip, right? Or if you guys use Instacart, you can leave those people a tip. So things are changing. But the most common one is the restaurants. Then it's people who cut your hair, people who do your nails, car wash guys. If you ever like been to a hotel, people who help you, the valet. If you've ever been with your parents and then leave the car at the valet, you usually tip those people. So there's like people out there. Yeah, it is bad manners not to leave a tip. Yes, it is. In the United States, it's customary to leave a tip to certain people. Am I lagging for anybody else?
Yes.
Okay. Ooh. Damn. Darn. Okay. Wait a little. Does it make sense what I'm saying? New mic? Dude, I'm having issues. Is this better? Does it make sense what I'm saying? Or should I log on with my phone? Yes, we know what you're talking about. Thank you. Okay, cool. I just switched mics. I switched over to the computer built one, which supposedly is not the best. It's better. Okay. Just keep letting me know. Like as soon as I start lagging, I had this problem yesterday with 6th period. That's good. Okay, so just let me know. Feel free to. It's probably not just you. It's probably the whole class. Just no one wants to tell me. All right. So, like I was saying, it is customary in the United States to leave tips. It does kind of look bad. Why? The people who earn tips, that's where they make most of their money. It's some of you will be working like during high school, and it's more of a college job, or in when you're an adult. If you work at a restaurant, like you can earn a really good amount of money. Like if it's a really busy restaurant, you have more customers, more service, more tips. So yeah, and if you work at a like really expensive restaurant, the tips are even bigger. So some of you might have family members that work in a place that earns tips. So you might want to ask your parents, like, "Hey, mom and dad, have you ever worked, or do you work at a place that earns tips, or do we know someone that does?" Uh, and then you'll be surprised to learn, like, "Oh yeah, like 10 years ago, I worked here, or I worked there, and I earned tips." And then you can ask them, like, "Did you earn a lot? Were you mad when someone didn't leave you a tip?" Things like that. So you get background information. I've never had a job that earns tips. Can you imagine as a teacher, every day you would leave me a tip as you go out? That would be awesome, but I don't. I did, like I told you, did earn commission, but no tips. It would be pretty cool. All right, guess how many steps there is for tip? There is 2 steps. First one is you take your bill, like the restaurant bill, things like that. Yeah. Sometimes, you can, if you don't have good service, you don't tip very much. You tip, yeah. Okay, so the tip, first step is bill times the percent written as a decimal. So this is the same step as all of them. And then the second step is your bill plus your tip amount. That's going to give you your total bill, like how much you're going to totally pay. So the tip amount, the waitress, the person who cut your hair, they keep it. They don't have to give it to the owner, anything like that. They 100% keep it. They put it in their pocket and they're good. Yeah. So, and then it's just extra money you get to pay for your bill. Right. Sometimes they're not very grateful. Like, it's not nice. You're leaving a tip what you think is good. Um, and then when they don't appreciate it, it makes you kind of feel bad. But I'm going to show you the math behind it. There is a customary amount you should leave, so we'll discuss this in a second. Okay. The bill at Denny's, right? Either we've all been to Denny's, we've all been to IHOP, or we've all been to that bear one by In-N-Out, pre-pandemic or right now, in a tent. We took everyone to breakfast, and the bill was $42. So $42 for our food, our coffee, our orange juice. That was $42. Okay, and I want to leave a 20% tip. Okay. How much tip do I leave? Question mark. And then what is my total bill? Okay. So they'll always ask you, they'll ask you 2 questions or they'll ask you 1 question. And the trick is like, what are they asking me? Are they asking me for the total, or are they asking me just for the tip amount? Because, those are 2 different things. Like, okay. So we're going to take step number 1, 42 times 0.2, right? Because 20% is 0.2. So 42 times 0.2. This one's 0.2, not 0.02. You want to leave 20%, not 2%. And that is 8.4. So your tip amount is $8.40. So that's if the bill was 42 and you want to leave a 20% tip, you're leaving $8.40 in additional money just for the waiter, waitress. Okay. Then your second step, well, how much am I gonna have to pay for this whole meal? Well, that's when you have to add, right? So the 42 goes to the restaurant to pay back for the food you ate. And the $8 that I'm gonna add, that goes just to the waitress. And if there's like what we call a bus boy, that's usually like the person that helps the waitress. Like they're the ones like cleaning after. Like the waitress just takes your order, brings your food, and then there's someone else at the end who picks up all the trash. They work together, so they share the tip. So they have to share this $8.40. We're supposed to write how much tip do I leave, or did you mean money? How much tip do I leave? So this is how much I'm going to leave, if that answers your question. I'm going to leave $8.20. So that answers the first question. And then what is my total bill? This is my total bill. So if I were going to go to Denny's, in total, me as a person, I'm going to spend $50 and with 40 cents, $50.40. 42 goes to Denny's and $8.40 go to the waitress waiter. So it's like I'm paying two bills, but it's together. If you pay by credit card, if you go to when things open up and you go to a restaurant, if your parents pay by credit card, and then they run the credit card, then they bring out a new receipt. Ask your parents to let you show it. Oh, mom and dad, can I see it? Or aunt, uncle, grandma, whoever's going to take you to a restaurant. Oh, let me see it. There's always like a tip line there. And you fill it out. Like if you're paying by credit card, you're not going to leave this cash. You fill it out, and then you charge an extra $8. And there's a little line that says tip. If I had a receipt, I might have one tomorrow. I'll look for one. Yeah. Saeed, what's up?
Do you have one time when we went to a restaurant, my mom told me that if you pay by credit card, they actually take some of the money.
Yes. You know who takes the money? Uncle Sam. Do you know who Uncle Sam is? I don't know.
I don't know who Uncle Sam is.
Uncle Sam is referring to taxes, the United States taxes. So we call him Uncle Sam. It's it's an old name. You know, it's been around probably since Washington, George Washington. So Uncle Sam, when you say Uncle Sam's gonna take your money. That's the taxes. So if you charge the tip, if you use a credit card to pay the bill and you add the tip to the actual receipt, the waiters get taxed on it automatically. So they're going to see a little bit less than $8.40 because Uncle Sam kind of took some of it because it's part of taxes. Yay. Now, if you leave it cash, let's say I'm going to charge $42 and then I pay this in cash, be like, hey, here you go. Here's $8. Thank you for your service. I appreciate it. Everything was great. They put that in their pocket. At the end of the year, they're supposed to tell Uncle Sam, hey, Uncle Sam, I got $2,000 in tips. Tax me on it. They're supposed to do that. And they're supposed to pay the tax on that amount later. Supposed to. But if you put it on a credit card, Uncle Sam's going to take some of it. If you don't put it on the credit card, then they report it at the end. But that's just too complicated for us right now. Well, sort of. All right. But the important part is that you show your gratitude by... They do. I don't know. I've never earned tips, so I don't know. But they're supposed to report how much they get in tips. But what if you get a bunch of money and you're like, oh, I lost count. I don't know. I think it was 500. I don't know. They're supposed to though. But I don't know. All right. Let's say it's our birthday and our parents are going to take us to Olive Garden to celebrate our birthday. Yay, all you can eat pasta, and breadsticks. My Olive Garden bill was, now we took the whole family, okay? We even got dessert. $130. We took everybody. We want to leave a 15% tip. How much tip do I leave or give the waitress or waiter? And what is my total bill? Okay. So go to Olive Garden. Bill was $130 because we took everybody. We want to leave a 15% tip. How much tip do we leave? What is my total bill? All right. So first step, take 130 and multiply it by 0.15. I mean, the hardest part of this is just like, how do you write 15% as a decimal? Because if you don't do that one right, everything else is wrong. So we take 130 times 0.15 equals 1950. So I'm going to leave in tip $19.50. And some people just round it to like $20. It's easier just like, oh, here's $20 as a tip. Number 2, 130 plus 1950, $149. So $149 represents my total bill. Okay? So I'm going to pay Olive Garden $130. I'm going to pay the waiter or waitress $19.50. Okay? So imagine, like, let's say you get a job in college as a waitress or a waiter. You have more than one table to work with, right? If you've ever noticed, your waiter waitress is helping up like multiple tables, right? Not just yours. So imagine they earn $20 at this table, $15 at this other table, another 20 at this table, and you're basically eating for an hour. So in that hour, how much money they're making in just tips, right? So it could be a really good job, and a lot of cash, right? You don't have to wait until your paycheck. You get paid with tips right away. Any questions about tip? So, tip is just basically 2 steps. First you multiply, then you add, multiply, then add. It's the exact same thing as tax, right? This was the same steps as tax, same steps as markup. The only difference is with tax, they're small percents, usually less than 10. For markup, they're huge percents, ridiculously big percents, because you're talking about profit. And for tip, it's usually anywhere between 15 and 20% is customary in the United States to leave as tips. So that's the only difference, but the steps are still the same.